Well, good morning, good morning. I'm Reverend Karen Einhaus. I'm the spiritual leader of this amazing, expanding, alive, wonderful community that has love, revealing the power of love at its very center. And so imagine how delighted we were when we looked at the Centers for Spiritual Living annual theme and discovered that the theme for June is higher, deeper love. So for the entire month of June, we are going to re-examine what is really behind this word, this four-letter word, love. We're going to look at how we relate to it, how we can embody it, how we can share it. And we heard a lot of ideas already today, and we're going to continue this. So I'm so glad you're here in the sanctuary, online. I'm excited to explore this together. I'm going to look at the time because the last couple times I've been going over. So today I'm going to try it. I'm going to try to keep it under 2 hours. So, yes. Whenever I approach a topic as vast as love, I turn to the Science of Mind book. For those of you who don't know, in the back of the Science of Mind book, there is a glossary that explains terms, which is really helpful. And there are a lot of meditations. And for today's talk, I connected with this meditation from Dr. Ernest Holmes, who is the founder of the Science of Mind teaching. It is called The House of Love. I dwell in the house of love. My dwelling place is filled with peace and eternal calm. Love attends me in my home of the soul, and joy awaits upon me in the secret place of the Most High. My house is built for me by the hand of love, and I shall never leave this home of the Spirit, for it is always present. I shall abide in this home forevermore. My house is a house of love. Oh, isn't that beautiful? Isn't that beautiful? So that is what I used as my North Star, as my guiding light, as my GPS for today's talk, because as you can imagine, we can talk for hours and hours about love. And what is the New Vision Center really about? What is this teaching really about? Is it about hearing somebody giving an eloquent, beautiful talk that wows us? No, no, no. What it is about is to find openings, to find ways to engage ourselves, those parts of ourselves who might have been a little fearful, to open our hearts to love. Or perhaps those parts who are looking at situations out there in the outside world and say, yeah, I don't think love is present there. These talks are really an invitation for each and every one of us, if we hear them today or in the future, if we are in the sanctuary or online, to say, I want to know what love is. And to realize, while somebody can give us some ideas or perhaps share some tools or has some creative ways of how to be with it, at the end of the day, unless we each make the decision, the agreement with ourselves, it is just a pretty talk. So I invite each and every one of us here to take a moment. Just take a moment and breathe into the place of the Most High at the very center of your being and ask yourself, do I want to know what love is? Bless you. Do I want to know it? Do I want to have a deeper, wider, new, exciting experience about it? And as you already can tell, we are not talking about that romantic love. That is just one facet, one little sliver of the allness of love. Emerson tells us that love is a synonym for God. And if the word God doesn't work for you, love is a synonym for life. Love is all there is. So I'm really excited for this month, for these explorations as we come to it from our different perspectives and as we dig in. These monthly talks have an arc to it, and often they start with the individual looking into the personal changes. And then throughout the months, we are opening up. We're looking at what impact an individual can have on the greater community, into the world, and then we're looking at more of a collective. But today, we're going to stay within. So this is a very personal experience, and I have asked our beloved Ralph and David, who created these wonderful letters, to help me spell love. And, you know, there it is. That's going to be what we're going to look at, so that it can remind us every time when we hear love. What was she saying about the L, the O, the V, and the E? That's where we're going to go. So let's start with L. L stands for letting the truth reveal itself. You know, it is this realization that love is not something we acquire. We don't have to go out and get love, because it is already right where we are. It is at the very center of our being. When we were created by the Creator, by that which is greater than we are, all that was available to create with was what that presence is, and that is love. And so we could stop right there in the realization that the very molecules that I am made of, the minute parts of me and of everybody else, is love. Oh, to remember that. And we have moments when we remember that, right? We have absolute moments when we are with someone who is just good for our soul. We call it often who is balm for our soul. When we discover something new and it feels like it's opening a door to a whole new experience. When we experience that romantic love. When we snuggle up with our four-legged furry friends. Those are the moments we remember, we know. Oh, there it is. How about if we would feel that when somebody comes towards us, as Maureen said earlier, with unskilled behavior? Oh. Or when something happens, when life does its thing. To remember, oh, here true, love is present, because here true, also the divine is present. And I think that the L can remind us to let in this truth. to let it have its way with us. And sometimes it might even just be that we say, okay, I don't see it right now, but I trust that here love is present also. Show me. Show me how love is present here. So that's the L. Letting our hearts soften, allowing the truth in. And perhaps we will go ahead and have an affirmation for each one of the letters, if you're willing. The affirmation for this one is, I am ready to see what has always been here. I am ready to see what has always been here. That is the L. And so we turn to the O. And O stands for opening to the divine flow. We have established with the L that the divine flow is right where I am, because love is right where I am. And so we are opening ourselves consciously more to it. Love is a flow, it's not a possession. It's not something we need to hold on to. But isn't that what happens so often when we discover love, that feeling, that heart-opening experience? We go like, mine. Love invites us to open our white-knuckle grip, to open our palms, to let go of control, to let go of feeling like if I don't pull everything out of this one experience, then there's no more to come. We have to let that go. We have to trust that there's always more flow of love available. Opening our hearts, our minds to it. Perhaps also being open to surprises. I have been reminded as I prepared for this talk about this great book. It's called 29 Gifts, How a Month of Giving Can Change Your Life. Has anybody ever heard about this book? It's by Cammie Walker, a woman who in her 30s had discovered that she had multiple sclerosis, MS, and she had a horrible flare-up over months and months and months, and the doctors and the medical system couldn't really help her, and she turned to a friend who was from Africa. She had just returned and became a medicine woman, and she said, this friend of hers says, you know what I think you should do? You might want to give a gift every day for 29 days and journal about how that works for you. And guess what her reaction was? Fill in the words. She said, I cannot even walk a block, and you want me to do what? And she didn't. She didn't. Until a month later, she remembered it when she was in a really bad flare-up, and she felt, I have nothing to lose. I'm going to go ahead and do it. And she did. And that journey is what this book is about. Even after 3 days, the miracles that she had experienced by giving, by being aware of that she did indeed have something to offer to the world. How a month of giving can change your life. So I want us to have the O of love also be open to surprises. And perhaps when somebody says, maybe extend your daily substantial spiritual practice, perhaps. Maybe instead of saying, it's not working for me, say, I'm going to open up to that. How does that sound? Are you ready to say an affirmation for the O with me? You know when you say it, you got to do it. All right, here it is. I am willing to be a conduit for love's infinite creativity. I am willing to be a conduit for love's infinite creativity. Listen to the echo on the inside. We realize love is all there is. We are of it. And we come to the V. And the V stands for vibrating. Vibrating. Choosing to vibrate in the frequency of love. Several beloveds did the workshop on Wednesday night with Maureen that's called Fear to Faith. And so vibrating in this higher vibration has to do with really choosing to vibrate in a higher frequency, even if the circumstances that are staring us in the eyes are yelling and screaming at us. Mm-hmm. Have you ever had that experience? Yes. Whatever we are going through, this is not to diminish the challenges, the pain that is in the world, the pain that we might be experiencing. This is not to diminish that, but rather it is to carve out a place within where we are choosing to vibrate in that higher frequency. And fear not, in a couple of minutes, we are going to do exactly that. If you're willing to hold a higher vibration, even when the circumstances are low, if you're willing to be energetically coherent with what it is that we say here, that God is all there is, that love is all there is, I invite you to say this affirmation with me. I align myself with the truth of who I am. I align myself with the truth of who I am. Yes, it is a choice. This teaching, Dr. Ernest Holmes was so clear that this teaching is about love and law. Love and law. That is it. And so we can bring everything down to those two principles. And so love is not random. It is the creative impulse of the universe, the organizing principle behind all manifestation. Love and law. I'm so glad to have these letters here so I remember how to spell love. And this brings us to E. And E stands for embodying. Embodying. The science of mind is not a philosophy that we just sit around and talk about, although we do that a lot, right? We do that a lot. We just started a new foundations class. It's amazing to see how the students are wrestling with these concepts, and what's more exciting to me than that is how they are taking them and applying them in everyday living. Because that, beloveds, is when we are seeing a difference. That is how we collect evidence that this teaching is working for me. And if it's not working for me, I am willing to find out Am I approaching it a little differently? Is there a different way I could approach it? Or perhaps there's a little different flavor of this teaching that would work better for me? But we don't question the allness of life, being love, wanting to uplift us and help us to live in harmony with what we say we came here to do, to live a life. Embodying. It is living as love and not just talking about love. And it is a willingness to be the place where the invisible becomes visible. Where the invisible becomes visible. And how might that look? Well, it looks a million different ways for a million different people. How you and 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 I reveal the love, the power of the love is different. It's different, but what is fundamentally true is that we are all having to open ourselves up and to be willing to take a stand for love. And to be willing to hold that place. And sometimes with tears streaming down our faces. And sometimes with not understanding what's happening. But a willingness to stand for love. That is how we embody it. And when we do this, this is properly the disclaimer for this month. When we go to the universe and say, I am ready to experience more love, I am ready to have a different relationship with love, you know what's going to happen? Everything that is unlike love will show up and will ask us, how about now? How about now? Are you still willing and able and holding that this too is love? And so I'm so grateful we have this teaching because we understand that this is how it works, right? If we step up and we do our prayer work, we speak our spiritual mind treatments to experience more love, a closer relationship with the divine, opportunities come. How about now? How about now? And how about now? And so our affirmation for the E, for embodying the infinite, has to be, let love walk this world through me. Let love walk this world through me. Let love smile this world through me. Let love be in this world through me. And so, what then might be our homework? What then might be the invitation to deepen in this week? You guessed it. You guessed it. To be love. Regardless of what's happening, what we hear on the news, the phone calls we're getting, the challenges, the kerfuffle, the anything. Be love. And we're going to practice right here, right now. For all of the beloveds who are here for the first time in person and online, I want to let you know that we do this often. And you can trust this process. If it works for you, if it doesn't work for you, just soften your gaze. But if you're able, allow your eyes to close. And let's take a breath. Take a breath with me. Perhaps in your mind's eye, see the L. Let the truth reveal itself. Let your shoulders soften. Let your heart unclench. Let the deeper truth rise, the truth that you are already loved, already whole, you're already enough, and you matter more than you can imagine. Allow your entire being to be filled up with that truth that reveals itself. And in your mind's eye, see the O appearing, open to the divine flow. Let us open our breath, open our awareness. Imagine love flowing towards you and through you effortlessly, abundant, and always, always available. And then allow a V to show up in your mind's eye. The invitation to vibrate at the frequency of love. Bring your attention to your heart. Let your breath tune you to love's steady vibration, the higher frequency. Feel yourself aligned with the truth of who you are. And then allow the E to show up in your mind's eye, embodying the infinite, being a vessel of the divine right here. We allow love to settle in our bodies. We let it move into our hands, into our voice, into our presence. Feel the divine choosing to walk this world as you right now. Notice your breath. And from this place, we are just moving right into an affirmative prayer, a spiritual mind treatment, just right where you are. We are affirming that there's only one power, one presence, one divine allness. We see it made manifest as rainbows and waterfalls, as beautiful plants and flowers and joy, harmony, surprises, and connections that go way deeper than we anticipated. And as we are becoming so fully aware of this truth, we step into it and we recognize that who I am is the divine. That is the truth of every beloved. And so we turn towards this truth in the center of our being, raising ourselves up into that place of the Most High, trusting it, recognizing it as truth. And it is from this place that I speak my word for the uplifting of every beloved, those beloveds who have placed their prayer requests into our prayer ministry, those beloveds who are holding prayers in their heart, just uplifting every beloved within the sound of my voice. And from this place, naturally gratitude just rises up within us. We are so connected to the divine, held in its infinite arms, that we can just let it go, let it be. Placing this word into universal law, we remain in this space as we quietly say, and so it is.